Hi guys, I'm back again now. This is in my room, very messy room. Kids are back with their moms, and Phil was back to work. He was off for a few days. Now we're back here. I think. Okay, I'm trying to give myself an internal challenge today. If I continue doing everything, basically, I have going to my challenge. I pretty much have enough designs to finalize, to mock up, and also to list. If I can finish, let me see, pretty much like 142, which I don't think I can finish today because usually it's about 25 minutes or so. It's 1 hour to complete everything. So if I have 143 divided by 25, oh, I actually, I might, it might be possible. Basically, I'm planning to do this until Phil comes home. So that's about 8 hours. I actually might be able to finish, and not just that, but not only 500 listing, I might have a little bit more than that. Because right now, currently, I have, I just got a pimple. Um, let's see here. Move this over here. I have 371 listing. Oh, this is wrong, but let's see. Once I finalize everything, 375, and on my folder of supposedly finalized images, some of them are similar, and I don't know, but then they're slightly different. So I'm just gonna post them anyway. We'll see. Like some of these are almost the same. Like, do I really need to post all of these? And most likely they're not even gonna sell. Who knows? This one versus this one versus this one, just different colors. You know, people like different colors, so I have a few of these Monstera plant. This one's almost the same as this one, kind of. So do I really need to put both? I guess for now it's okay, but eventually soon I want to be a little bit more picky on what I create and put up. But for now it's just more of just getting enough listings. Although Daily did say and mention that even the 500 listing needs to be good, and I I know it's not that great. I think I may have to list it a little bit lower because she was saying projection about $15-20 or so, I believe, for the 500 plus access shop. But the thing is that other people have like thousands of like access, and it's only a few dollars. So who am I really competing against? But yeah. But I'm glad I I'm really glad I did this challenge. I learned a lot, as well as just having finally almost three. I have right now 371 listing plus 10. I think 381 right now on my shop. So that's actually a huge accomplishment for me because originally I didn't realize that it was possible. And I actually, if I had really focused more on my time, because I did kind of give myself a break, like a 1 week break right here, a few days, I could have finished earlier. I think 6 week is very good and very possible. And right now at 129 hours, if I think about it like that, if I calculate how many days did I really work, 38 days. I know right now it says I'm on day 51 or so, but some days were skipped. But I pretty much worked on my designs for 38 days. So if I just take this divided by 129 divided by 38 days, so an average about 3.5 hours a day, if I really calculate it like that way. And most of the time, if I wake up early in the morning, I can do 2 hours and then 2 hours at night. Like that's very seems very doable, right? And then the rest of the time you're working, you're spending time with family, cooking, all that, whatever you have on hand. Um, Everyone's different.
uh yeah, so I used to think differently until I put myself in this situation where I'm able to do it. I'm able to accomplish some things that I didn't think I could. Let me see, or notebook, a notepad or something. Actually, yeah. So once this is complete, I have some a few things I have planned. Still thinking I might make a video, because just another video after this is done, to, instead of wasting time, let me continue working. Um, yeah, my plan is there's a few things I need to do already, right? I gotta create the listing for the whole shop access, which one thing, and I want to create a few listing for bundles, like florals for probably the Monstera, probably for Halloween theme. Those will be put into bundles as well. And I also need to organize my Etsy shop a little bit, because right now it's just organized with physical product and digital product. But I also need to put in categories like Halloween or trendy or florals, stuff like that. So I could do that. So a few things to work on after this is done. And assuming I think I can finish today, but really focus. And you know, I do now have a next project, a few things in mind. Work on improving my writing skills and just speaking skills. Maybe I should be more serious about my speaking skills. Make it something. Yeah, I gotta be more serious about it. Anyway, let me actually finish. I had a few more image I wanted to finish, and some here. Let's see. Yeah, there's a few, and I want to put some quotes on this guitar image. There's a few guitar image that I could make as a bundle as well. Yeah, let me do that. Let's go back to Photoshop. Okay. Photoshop's right here. Oh, mama. Some of these probably won't. There's enough of these, so I'll put here, unsure. Image on that one. This one. Why had you do this again? I don't know what happened. I think I also bought some microphone, and I might return them. I'm still debating. I think I'm not at that point yet to focus on my energy on that. I just need to speak louder when I'm here, because I know this webcam from Insta360 is actually pretty good. I just need to speak louder, and that's probably the issue. It's just me not speaking loud enough. But I will work on that later. It just feels like I'm also at the same time trying to pay off some debt, and I don't want to focus my energy in spending more until some things are accomplished. Okay, I don't know why this is showing here. Can I remove this? Oop. I wish I can, but I can't. Okay. That's okay. Back here. I have some more dark cherries. I don't know if this is. It's kind of nice, I think. Yeah. Get I'm getting used to working on my laptop. The quality, the video as well as the audio suck really bad, but it's actually, to me, it helps a lot. Just not being in this room. I was outside for 2 days, and I actually missed that. It's like a different feeling when you go to the cafe and you work versus at home. And also sometimes I feel like I'm always at home. It just feels like I don't have a life or something. But just when you go outside to do your work, it feels nice and different.
But let me finish this real quick. My plan is probably, let's see, tomorrow, but I'm gonna go home probably on Thursday. That's interesting. It's like a butterfly lace or something, which is kind of cool, I guess, and florals. And let me fix this part. It's probably weird. So maybe I keep that. Let's fix this. No. What else can I say right now? Again, I know not people are not meant to be watching this too much, and I appreciate Keith for putting my videos up just to let it play to get the watch hours. I appreciate that so much. But it's okay because it sucks putting up my video and there's like no sound, there's nothing valuable. It's just really nice. It's so sweet. But right now I'm talking a lot because I try to brainstorm at the same time. I just wanna think about things. I think, oh no, what I also need is just to write it down. What's going on here? It keeps happening. No. 25. I don't like it. Start over. Let's try again. What else? What else do I need to say? Just watch a video by Alex Hormozi about, basically it's equivalent to me as work on the one thing. You just have to focus on one goal. And to me, this whole time, I kind of realized something while I was watching it. I'm just gonna say this out loud. Most likely, I need to write this out myself later. What I'm doing here is I'm working on my one goal, which was to create 500 Etsy listing. Right, that was the goal. But because of this goal, I had to do certain things to get there, to learn certain skills. So to me, it's kind of like, I remember I talked about this before, which is you pick the little goal, whatever goal it is, and then from there you have to break down, okay, what do you need to do to get to that goal? It's just kind of more specific. It's not like, oh, I want to make $500 a month. Okay, but that's not very specific. But I said I want to make 500 Etsy listing. So to do that, I had a few things I have to do, right? But if you say I want to make $500 by whatever date, like how do you actually do that? There's just so many ways. So then you have to be more. That's too broad. So to me, I kind of realized that like that's not really specific enough, and it helps a lot when you're more specific. And I guess that's why there are a bunch of worksheet and stuff to help people who are still lost in what they want. Now, this is really nice, actually. I like this cherry lace. More cherry lace. Ink and wash. Yeah. Okay, now we put it here. Yep. Done. It's this one, right? All the way up. Oh yeah, I think I'm not a fan of this too much. I might just I wasted time on it. I'm just gonna put it unsure. Okay. This is nice. Pretty. Yeah. I'm gonna work. I mean, I gotta think about my next plan, which is gonna be related to writing and talking. But it's not just improving my writing and talking. It needs to be very specific what I'm trying to do. And I'm thinking more like in terms of, well, I can create one YouTube video a day, or a week, or every 2 weeks. And so in order to do that, right, to create the video, I need to learn all these skills, which is writing. First you start with the writing part, and then you do all these other parts. So I think that's helpful. But actually, not the YouTube. No, that's fine. A video, YouTube video, which is fine. But specifically, what kind of video am I trying to create? And I also have this plan of maybe maybe it's too much. But I have this plan. I think I need to write this down right now before I forget. Okay, let me make sure. Let me put on my Cortex real quick before I forget. I just came up with this idea. Okay, now I think I need to continue with what I'm doing because I still need to continue building this Etsy shop. So what I need to do to continue doing that as well as improve my skills, which I would say it would be, where did I put my notes? Okay, let me put it right here. Okay, create, but this might be too much. I'm gonna say one YouTube video every other week. So basically two videos per month. A real good one. So, and what relating to my Etsy store. Should be related to Etsy store. Related to my Etsy store. Like what do I want exactly with this store? Like how to use my stuff. Oh yeah. Like how to use my image. Kind of like type of video where it's like, oh, this is my image, and then today I'm gonna show you how to make a Tumblr wrap or something out of that, right? So that's like a video. I'm gonna think about this, but basically create at least 2 videos a month, good quality video, 2 good quality video per month, right? And also that would be, yeah, so it would be, let me put this down. No. Right. That's one idea. How to use my image, how I create my designs, stuff like that. Random things like Tumblr wrap, the making of the Tumblr wrap, Tumblr, yeah, something like stuff like that, right? And now, if I do that, in order to do that, examples. These are just examples, which I'll get more videos there. Brought me examples of videos, just stuff like that, right? Okay. So in order to do that, in order to create a good quality video, the skills, what the heck am I doing? Skills I need would be, first I need to write this down. Writing the content for it. Basically, I need, I want to learn how to organize better, like organizing my written content, right? Written content. I gotta figure this out as well. So if I'm organizing my written content, so that also means learning how to speak better. It's kind of a lot of things. Speak better, and then recording angles. Okay, I gotta figure this out. So all this, basically, like the whole idea is this: I have a goal to make this video, but in order to get that goal, to accomplish that goal, there's a bunch of little things I gotta do. So it's like same as what I did with the 500 Etsy listing. I didn't just create that. I had to figure certain things out and learn certain skills in order to do that, to to get created within a certain time frame. So in order to create good quality skills, I need would be learning this and that, learning how to speak better, recording angles, editing. That's yes. Maybe, well, at least I have something in mind, but let's see. What else did I write for my notes? So I need to do all of that first. Why is better to notes? And then, so also, I was listening to Ali Abdul, and he has a challenge in August, but it's gonna cost me $800, and I'm not sure if I should do that. I don't think it's I'm not sure exactly what kind of skills I'm gonna learn, and I don't know if I have the time for it. It's a 6-week program, which I think is awesome. I think 6 weeks is plenty of time. Like 6 weeks is a good amount of time. 4 weeks is kind of like rushing a little bit. 8 weeks, what I'm doing with my my challenge was, it felt like a little bit too long. 6 weeks seems perfect. And he, not like he guaranteed, but he said that you'll basically make about $1,000, and I'm like really intrigued by that. By $800. The thing is also is if there's like 4 projects, I believe, 4 project or 4 something he said, and if you accomplish all 3 and then you're on the 4th one and you still cannot get to $1,000, or if you feel that you didn't get the value and you didn't learn as much, you can just write them an email, him and his team email, or contact them somehow, and they will return the funds to you. But I think, of course, if I do it, I mean, that's in August, so that's in 8 days after this is done. And I don't know, that may be too quick, but I'm trying to figure out also if I even have time for it. Like, that also means I might not do this challenge right here. Maybe I shouldn't do this, but that's the goal. Maybe I can start working on little things like writing content or speaking better. Those I could do. At the same time, I still need to work on, I'm gonna finish off that before the end of this month. That's the plan. I have this week and next week. And then yeah, I gotta finish these right here. I also want to do this STD. Too much, just too much going on. Let me remove this. Remove that. I need to work on that. So all the stuff will be done after today, hopefully. SVG tattoo. This one was supposedly a course within a course. I wanted to do this as well. I think I'm getting unclear with what I'm trying to do. What am I trying to do here? Basically, I feel like they're kind of connected to each other, a course within a course. What do I want to do exactly? Get all those done. Continue making some designs. Maybe I should just continue focusing on that. Okay, if I want to focus on the design portion of it, should my videos should it be about that instead? Or should my videos be more on teaching how to create those designs? What makes more sense? And okay, these are just notes. Still thinking. Yeah. Get all this done. Keyword research. Bundle this thing. No. This one's gonna go in here. Put this in here. To-do list. My to-do list. I do not even do that. Okay. Anyway. That's all I gotta say for now. Okay. And now we're back here. That was 24 minutes. Did I save this? Save as. This is mascara. to listen to this guy real quick. Let's see.
And actually take action through the format of this live online bootcamp, then there is a link to sign up in the video description. So in medicine, the path is actually not very foggy. You know that you're going to be in med school for 6 years, you know what your salary progression is going to look like. You can Google how much do doctors make in country X, and you can like literally see the yellow brick road that is laid out in front of you. The scariest part of doing this YouTube thing, and in particular the jump to doing it full time, was that there was no longer a yellow brick road to follow. It feels nice to know what your life is going to look like 10 years from now. And it is very scary to no longer have that certainty when you are doing something weird, like trying to be a YouTuber or trying to start a business or trying to do something in these non-legible domains where there isn't a clear path to success. So when I speak to people who come to my events or people who are part of my YouTuber Academy, they're often professionals who are in careers that are where there is a clear progression path. There is a yellow brick road that you have to follow. If you want to be a dentist, there's a yellow brick road that you follow. If you want to be an accountant, there's a yellow brick road. If you want to be a management consultant, it's pretty obvious what you have to do. If you want to be an investment banker, pretty obvious. If you want to be a lawyer, it's pretty obvious. And I think a big part of what holds these sorts of people back, like professionals in these sort of high-flying careers, a big part of what holds us back, because I would put myself in that category, is trying to get that level of certainty in a new path. A path like building a YouTube channel, or like building a personal brand, or like trying to start your own business, or starting a side hustle, trying to get to financial freedom, or whatever. And in many ways for me, 8 years later, it is still scary. In fact, it's way scarier now than it was 8 years ago when I started. Because when I started my YouTube channel, for the first 3 years of doing it, it was just a side hustle. It was 1 year in my final year of med school and then 2 years working full-time as a doctor. I didn't need the money from the YouTube channel. It was a bonus that I was making money from it after a while, and it was a fun thing I did on the side. But the instant it became my full-time occupation, then all of a sudden it added this pressure to get it right. The pressure to get it right. And the pressure to get it right, that's scary, right? Because it like raises the stakes. It's like, if this YouTube thing doesn't go well, the mind says, I'm gonna end up broke and homeless, kind of thing. Like that's the fear. That's the fear people have. It's like, I don't want to start a business because if it doesn't work, then I will end up homeless. Often most fears lead to, I'm going to end up homeless, or my family will end up homeless, and then that would be a bad thing kind of idea. Usually it's, I will end up homeless and or people will laugh at me. If you're thinking of like, let's say starting a YouTube channel or starting a business, and you feel like you have to get it right, oh, that's going to stop you from actually getting started, because it's so hard to get it right. Like, we get so addicted to playing the right, to knowing what the game is and being able to tick the boxes and playing the game, right? Like, it's obvious what the game is when you're trying to get into medical school. You've got like the tick boxes that you have to tick, and we develop this addiction to the ticking of boxes. And so then when we move into a domain where there aren't really any boxes to tick, and it's all like way more foggy and way more fuzzy, and like you're not really sure, it's like that desire to get it right and to find the boxes to tick and find the perfect strategy is still there. Which is why when it comes to starting a YouTube channel, so many people are worried, like, oh, what's my niche going to be? I was doing a live session for one of our for our YouTuber Academy students the other day, and we had a lovely lady, and she asked, and she was like, hey, you know, I have all these interests, and I've got like 3 or 4 different niches, and I'm not sure what my niche is going to be. And I was like, okay, how many videos have you made? She was like, I've made 1 video so far. And I was like, okay, this is something we often say in the course, which is that you're not allowed to use the word niche until you've made at least 7 videos. You gotta start making the videos before you start worrying about the strategy. Strategy is a thing you worry about further down the line, not a thing you worry about at the start. I have met very, very, very few successful YouTubers in my life who started out with a strategy and just executed the strategy. That's just almost never how it works. Usually you start out the thing because you have a vague inkling of the kind of vague direction you might want to go in, and you think it might be kind of fun making videos, and you keep on doing it, and you keep on doing it, and you keep on doing it, and through taking action, the strategy and the path becomes clearer. Not through sitting there and thinking about it. We've got to let go of some of this addiction to certainty, because this addiction to certainty, like if I had not let that go, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be still working in medicine, still in the UK, and I'd have way less freedom and flexibility and autonomy over my life than I currently do. Now, if you're enjoying the video so far, I would love to tell you a little bit about WeWork, who are the very kind paid partners of this video. Me and the business have been paying customers of WeWork since 2020. I discovered it during the pandemic, and it was absolutely game-changing, because working from the WeWork co-working space in Cambridge, where I was living back in 2020, that was where I really started to feel how incredible it is working with a team in person on this sort of YouTube channel businessy type stuff. Previously, it was just me, for the first 2 years doing all the editing and stuff myself, and then it was me and a couple of remote team members. But then Angus, who was one of my team members, happened to be in Cambridge, and so we decided to get a WeWork membership, and we would go there every day and we'd work together in person, and it was absolutely incredible. And since then, as we've expanded the team, we've gotten WeWork all access passes for every single team member. WeWork has hundreds of different locations all around the world, and we have remote team members who sometimes live in different cities and are traveling to different cities who absolutely love working from the local WeWorks. The really cool thing about WeWork for Business as well is that, like, as your business scales or shrinks or scales again or expands and contracts and stuff, you can be very, very flexible with your WeWork workspace. So if you have a dedicated office, for example, you can scale it up or you can scale it down, and it really helps you as a business really adapt to whatever's going on. So back in the day where I had a team of 20 people, we had, a dedicated WeWork membership for everyone, and then as we shrunk things down a little bit after the pandemic, then again, we were just able to essentially adjust our WeWork package as things in the business were changing, compared to the alternative of being stuck into like a 5-year commercial lease if you're trying to rent an office space kind of from scratch. It's very convenient that it's an all-in-one platform as well, so everyone on the team can just use the same WeWork app to log in and access the Wi-Fi from any WeWork in the world, which is just absolutely game-changing. So whether you're an individual or a business, if you're looking for a nice, creative, really nicely designed, vibey workspace, then you should definitely check out WeWork. I absolutely love it. We've been using it for years, and there will be a link in the video description, or you can use the coupon code AliAbdalWorks10 to get 10% off the all-access pass. So thank you, WeWork, for sponsoring the video, and let's get back to it. Reflection number 2, basically just get started, and then you have to basically just keep going. 95% of people never take the first step. They never actually get started with the thing they want to do. They never get started with whatever the dream is. And of the 1 to 5% that do, almost no one just keeps going. I don't know what the stats are for YouTube channels, but the stats are for podcasts that, like, I think more than 80% of podcasts have less than 3 episodes recorded, and less than 1% of podcasts have more than 20 episodes recorded. So some amount of people start a podcast. Maybe you've had the idea at some point, hey, it would be cool to start a podcast. Maybe you see people like Stephen Bartlett, Chris Williamson, and Mel Robbins, and you're like, man, this is really cool. These guys are making all this money and have all these followers, and all they're doing is just sitting there and having conversations with people. Like, that would be fun. I want to start a podcast. A lot of people will have that thought. Almost no one, in the grand scheme of things, will actually record the first episode. And of the people that do record the first episode, very few of them will make it past episode 3. Almost no one would make it past episode 20, and then almost no one continues making 3 podcast episodes a week for 7 years, which is where my friend Chris Williamson from the Modern Wisdom podcast has been doing the thing. And that's really the game. The game is just get started and just keep going. So the game of just getting started involves lowering the bar and just taking imperfect action, like minimum viable learning, not trying to learn more and think you need more strategy and all of that kind of stuff. All of that just stops you from getting started, and we've just got to get over ourselves and get over all of these emotional hurdles, all of these addictions to certainty, to just get started with a thing. But then once you've gotten started, the game is to just keep going. The YouTuber MKBHD did an interview on the Y Combinator podcast, and they asked him, what's the secret to your success? And he said, well, if you just pick something and do it for a decade, it's hard not to be successful. And I found that incredibly inspiring. I saw that like maybe 1 or 2 years into my YouTube journey. I can't remember exactly when, but I remember thinking at the time that if you just do something for a decade, you are unlikely to go wrong. It's probably going to work if you just do it for a decade. But no one does it for that long. No one keeps going. There are so many people who started YouTube channels during the pandemic, and how many of them are still going 5 years later, 4 years later? Basically no one. It's so hard to get started, and it's so hard to just keep going. I've talked a lot about the getting started thing, but I want to talk about the keep going thing, because how do you keep going with something for a long time? And I've only been doing YouTube for 8 years. I'm looking at the people who've been doing it for 13 years, 15 years at this point, and I'm super inspired by them, because they've been doing it for twice as long as I have. And I'm like, okay, what are they doing to just keep going with the thing? In order to just keep going, external motivation is not enough. External motivation is something like money. People think that if I was making all this money on YouTube, I'd be able to be consistent with it, or whatever the thing is. It's you would think so. But it's actually not about money. The money serves as a useful, motivating tool in the very early stages of the journey. But then the desire to make more money stops actually being a reliable source of motivation after a while. There is the negative, so that the fear of losing money becomes a negative motivator, but sort of operating based on fear and scarcity often makes people burn out, and that's another big reason as to why they quit. And this is something that I've been struggling with for years at this point. The thing that I've found is actually more helpful than money for staying consistent and staying motivated and sort of being able to sustain the journey, is trying to shift it more towards internal motivation. trying to make the reasons for doing the thing feel aligned with my deeper self, deeper values, all of this sort of stuff. For me, about once every 3 months for the last like 5 years, I've had a mini existential crisis on my YouTube channel, thinking, oh, it's all crumbling down. You know, the views aren't the same as they were during the pandemic. And then I speak to my YouTuber friends, and they're all like, yeah, you know, everyone had massive views during the pandemic, and then they massive drop-offs after that. It's like, you know, there's comments on the video saying it's like repeating content. It's like, what's even the point? Like, I will have that kind of crisis around the YouTube channel about once every 3 months, and usually it takes many hours worth of journaling and thinking about it, and speaking to friends about it, and speaking to my wife about it, and sometimes talking to ChatGPT about it. And all of the conclusions just end up in the same place, which is to realign to the why, realign to the reason why I'm doing the thing. And that reason needs to be deeper than just money in order for the thing to stay sustainable. For me personally, your mileage may vary on this, but there are two things I think about as it relates to alignment, which is 2 C's, connection and a contribution. I have those 2 C's in my mind, and I have for a long time, around helping me sustain the motivation to continue with this YouTube thing. Connection in the sense of this YouTube channel is a very nice way to connect with people all around the world. I'm seeing comments and seeing the DMs and the emails and people coming up to me in the street and saying, you know, how helpful they found the content and asking questions and attending workshops that we do. That's amazing. I love that sense of connection. That feels very meaningful, and it feels way more meaningful than money. And also contribution. Like the feeling of imagining a real life person and imagining the video or the content or whatever, helping them in any kind of way. I often find myself doing like therapy sessions for fellow YouTubers, even like very big YouTubers, because I've now been doing this for a very long time. I was having a chat yesterday with a friend of mine. She is a very big YouTuber, and she was also saying that when she thinks about the money, it sucks the motivation out of the process. But when she thinks about the connection and contribution and the fact that her videos actually seem to have an impact on some people, that is what makes it feel worth it. And I've had similar conversations with my entrepreneur friends who have startups and whatever, and even people with jobs. Generally, a job is much more manageable and a lot more sustainable when it feels like you are doing it for more than just the money. There are so many investment bankers and management consultants I know who are very, very burnt out. They're making really good money. Corporate lawyers as well. They're making amazing money, but they are very burnt out because they don't feel that sense of contribution that their work is actually contributing to. Similarly, though, on the other side of the coin, my friends who are working in medicine in the UK and also in the US, there is a feeling of contribution, which is that you're actually helping people and you can see the help on a daily basis. But there isn't a feeling of autonomy or flexibility. Flexibility mostly. It's like, if they just had a little bit more flexibility in their careers, that would be a massive source of joy and would make it feel way more sustainable and, you know, not burning out and stuff. And there are so many people I know who are sort of way further into medicine than I was, who are thinking of quitting medicine. Not because it doesn't have contribution, but because it just doesn't have that just extra sprinkle of flexibility. And this goes to something that Daniel Pink wrote about in his book Drive. So his book Drive talks about the 3 sources of intrinsic motivation: autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Autonomy, i.e. you have control over potentially what you do, how you do it, why you do it, all that kind of stuff. You have mastery, i.e. you're working towards something and you're actively learning and improving your skills at the thing. And purpose. You can feel the impact that your work is having. And so when I find myself doing therapy sessions with other YouTubers and other entrepreneurs who are struggling with the keep going thing, like they've gotten started and they're successful, but they're feeling burnt out, they're feeling demotivated and stuff, I can fully relate to those things because, like I said, I have that period of demotivation about once every 3 months, sometimes more frequently, sometimes a little bit less frequently. And basically what it comes down to, what it always circles back to is intrinsic motivation. Having your own internal reasons for doing the thing. Autonomy, very useful. Mastery, very useful. Purpose, arguably the most important one. Back in the day, when YouTube started, no one was doing it for the money because the YouTube Partner Program didn't exist. There was no sponsorships, there was no AdSense, any of this sort of stuff. Around 2012, I think, is when YouTube started to become a bit of a money-making scheme. But really, in the last 5 years, especially since the pandemic, when people like me started doing videos about how much money you can make on YouTube and this whole you can just make money on the internet started to get big, suddenly there's all of these people starting YouTube channels and starting businesses where the only motivation is to just make money. And I get it. I get the motivation of just making money because in many ways, that's what a job is. A job is a thing that you do. You trade your time for money. And the problem with that is that then you get into this difficulty with the motivation side of things. Because when you're doing it for the money, you only go so far. If you think of your favorite authors, again, they probably didn't do it for the money. Because in order to be an author, at least, you often have to publish lots of of books and like they don't make any money. And then maybe, Brandon Sanderson, his, I think, 6th book was the first time he actually got published, and then his 11th book was the first one that actually became successful. And so the people that are doing it for reasons other than money have a sustainability advantage compared to people who are just doing it for the money. And so the kind of note to myself, and what I find myself kind of discussing with fellow YouTubers and entrepreneurs in these therapy sessions, is it's about reconnecting with why you're doing the thing. Reflection number 3 is finding ways to enjoy the process. This is the whole thesis of my book, Feel Good Productivity, if you haven't read it. If you find a way to enjoy what you're doing, then it just becomes way more sustainable. And there are 2 ways to enjoy what you're doing. Number 1 is do things that are enjoyable. And number 2 is enjoy the things that you're doing. Most people can't just do the things that are enjoyable, right? Like if you have a job, there's going to be aspects of that job that you don't inherently find enjoyable. In that case, you need to find a way to enjoy them. You need to change your approach to the work so that it becomes actively more enjoyable, because enjoyment is efficiency. The enjoyment becomes a source of energy. It improves your productivity, your creativity, it reduces the risk of burnout. This is all the shit that I talk about in the book. But even the most enjoyable things start to feel like work after a while. If you ask kids these days what they want to be when they grow up, like the most popular answer is like YouTuber or influencer. Whatever that says about the state of the world. Back in the day, it used to be astronaut or footballer. But being a YouTuber, being an influencer, being an astronaut, being a footballer, these are things that seem fun on the surface. But if you really drill down to what they actually involve, what they involve is a lot of work. In the case of being a YouTuber/influencer, it's a lot of sitting on a computer and trying to figure out what to make content about, and dealing with sponsors and sending emails back and forth, etc., etc. And I think the key to the sustainability of anything is to continue to find ways to inject enjoyment into the process. A lot of YouTubers I know quit after a few months to a few years because it stops being fun. But the thing with fun is that it's not just a property of the activity that you can't do anything about, right? Like this mouse is made of like plastic and it makes this kind of sound. That is a intrinsic property of the material. And there's not much I can do about the fact that the mouse is made of plastic, other than like burn it to pieces or whatever. But the amount of fun that something is not one of those sort of properties that you can't do anything about. Like, I'm sure there's a word for this. There is a lot of impact you can have on how enjoyable a thing might be. If you were to just ask yourself, one of the things I talk about in the book is, what would this look like if it were fun? What would the most enjoyable version of this look like? Instead of trying to get it right, what would it look like if you just optimized for enjoyment? Those are the sorts of questions that, again, sound a bit like trite on the surface, but that is genuinely the stuff that helps people keep going. That's genuinely what has helped me stay consistent with this YouTube channel for the last 8 years, because I have kept on finding ways to make it fun. And the problem with those ways is that the same method of making it fun eventually runs its course and stops being fun anymore. Back in the day, for the first 2 years when I was doing my own video editing, I really enjoyed video editing for the first 2 months. And then I stopped enjoying it. And then I found ways to inject enjoyment into the art of video editing so that I could try it with new animations and this and that. And if you look at if anyone feels like looking at my channel back in the day, pretty much every video I was doing from 2017 to 2018 had some kind of new editing effect, because I was injecting this sense of progress of hey, I'm going to learn something new each time, was part of what made it fun. But again, there comes a point where there's only so much fancy new stuff you can add to your edit before you tap out of that source of enjoyment. And so then I had to find other ways to make it enjoyable, and it eventually ended up outsourcing my editing. And so the reflection here is that you've got to keep looking out for more wells of enjoyment. And once the well runs dry, you have to find another one. And ideally, you dig multiple wells of enjoyment at the same time, or in sequence, so that you never let the enjoyment run dry. Other examples of wells of enjoyment that I found useful is, for example, having an in-person team. Initially, everyone was remote, but then in 2020, I started working with Angus in person. He happened to be in Cambridge, and I realized working with people in person is really, really fun. And I've tried doing remote and stuff. I was doing some digital nomad stuff, and then when I moved to Hong Kong, the team was fully remote. But I realized that actually having a remote team sucks some of the enjoyment out of the process of doing this. And so we kept the remote team, but we hired a handful of people in person as well. And it's expensive hiring people in person. Some entrepreneurs I speak to who love the remote life say that you could save money by just hiring people in the Philippines or whatever, and then they're remote and this, that, and the other. It's yeah, you probably could. In my case, I would be sacrificing enjoyment for the sake of money. And given that enjoyment is what makes the thing sustainable rather than money, I will probably make more money by virtue of the thing being sustainable through the process of enjoying the thing than I will through trying to optimize for short-term profits or whatever. So it is okay to spend money and to spend time in ways that are not sensible for the sake of your own enjoyment of the craft. Sometimes another well of enjoyment is doing stuff in an under-optimized fashion. So again, what you should do as a YouTuber is you should optimize your titles and thumbnails, and you should only make content that the audience really wants to watch and that the most number of people want to watch. And what that ends up is that in my kind of educational personal development stuff, you end up only making videos about how beginners can make money on the internet without any work. Because those are the videos that get the most views. But if you follow the incentives of the algorithm and the incentives of the views, that also sucks some of the enjoyment out of the process. And I don't know anyone who has just kept on following the sort of the incentives of the algorithm and the incentives of like making numbers go up through audience who's enjoyed that process and has not burned out along the way. So sometimes, in order to enjoy the process, you have to do things in an under-optimized fashion. This video, for example, this video is never going to go viral. It's not going to get as many views as if the title was how to make $10,000 a month the easiest, laziest possible way without any skills and without doing any work, right? Like that's the sort of video that would get a million views. This video probably won't get a million views. I think it's very unlikely that this video will get a million views. This is a very under-optimized video. I have a vague sense of what I want to say. I had a vague sense of what the title was going to be. My team had actually prepared like 8 different videos with titles and thumbnails that I could have filmed today, but I wasn't feeling it. I was like, I don't really feel like any of these titles are currently, in this moment of time, that resonant. But, wait a minute, it's 8 years since I started doing YouTube. That would be a fun thing to make a video about. And even though it's going to get less views, the reason I'm making this video is because I think it might be helpful to some people. If you're still at this point, then I hope you're enjoying it so far and maybe finding it helpful. I know that this is the sort of video that I would have wanted to see 5 years ago if I'd seen someone else who'd been on YouTube for 8 years to be like, okay, cool, like, what are they thinking? And I know it's not going to get the views, and that is okay, because this is a video that I'm making for the fun and the fulfillment of making this video. Sometimes you got to take a hit on the numbers in order to do it the fun way. And this is hard to do. This is hard to do in industries where the numbers are visible. And even when they're not, to be honest. Let's say you're running a business and no one knows your revenue numbers or anything like that. You know your revenue numbers and you know your profit numbers, and you know that if you're making a product because it lights you up, that might not be the most optimized product you could make, and you will see the impact of that on your balance sheet, on your P&L every single day. You're probably not looking at it every day, but like every month when you look at your management accounts, you're going to see the impact of doing something that felt fun rather than something that maximized the amount of money you could make. And you're going to feel bad about that because you're going to always think that like, but if we'd made product Y instead of product X, we could have made more money. And I've had that decision. I've had that thought process many times. And what I've realized over the years is, yeah, we could have done. But the reason we chose to make product X rather than product Y is because product X is just a bit more interesting. It's just a bit more fun, even if it's less optimized. This gets harder when you are in industries where the numbers are visible. So part of why being a YouTuber is like emotionally taxing is because the numbers are visible to everyone. So anyone can look at my YouTube channel and can glance through the view counts of the videos, can glance at my subscriber count, and some people will come to the conclusion that bro has fallen off. They'll scroll back 5 years, they'll see that like, 5 years ago he made a video that got like 5 million views, and he's not made a video that's got 5 million views in a long time, and actually if you look at the average view count of the last video, it's like, and the reason that stuff hurts is because I think it myself every single day. I think it myself whenever I make decisions that are doing anything other than optimizing for views. Whenever I make a decision to post an under-optimized video, or even when we make the decision to post an optimized video, because you can't really control the view count on a video, right? It's not like it's kind of like a lottery each time. Every single day, the thought that I have is my YouTube channel dying? And I've spoken to so many other massive YouTubers bigger than me. Every single day, they are worried, is my YouTube channel dying? And then when you see a comment to that effect, or like, I don't know, a video with dislikes, or what, like that, when it feeds into the narrative of my YouTube channel is dying, makes it even harder to continue doing the thing. Because it feeds into your own worry that like, am I gonna end up broke and homeless as a result of pursuing what I enjoy? And every single creative in the world has this problem, like the balance between the craft and the commerce, the balance between the creativity and the commercial incentives. I was watching a couple of documentaries about Robert Pattinson, the actor, and he was in Harry Potter, then he was in Twilight, and these are films that make a lot of money. And then he was like, okay, I don't want to be the Twilight heartthrob anymore, so I'm going to do this random artsy film that's going to make basically no money, but it's going to light me up, it's going to fulfill me, it's going to creatively fulfill me. And then I'll do something big blockbuster like on a Batman or something, and then I'm going to do another random film that no one's going to have heard of and basically no one will watch outside of a film festival because that will creatively fulfill me. And I get really inspired by stories like that because it is someone who could make the decision to make more money, and what they are doing is making a decision instead to optimize for fun and fulfillment rather than finances. You've got to be okay with leaving money on the table. You just got to be okay with making less money. And being okay with making less money actually is what makes the thing more enjoyable and more sustainable, because it is very unlikely that the thing that is most fun and enjoyable and interesting and aligned for you is also the thing that makes the most money. It's just vanishingly unlikely that that's actually the case. If that is the case, it will only be the case for a certain period of time, and then the incentives will diverge again. And therefore, you've always got a choice. There's always a choice between, am I doing this for money or am I doing it for fun? The way that I found it helpful over the years to think about this is to really get clear on what am I doing for fun and fulfillment, and what am I doing for money? And the way that I do this is I ask myself the question of, if I had $100 million in the bank, what would I continue doing? What would I start doing, and what would I stop doing? It's like a stop, start, continue kind of mini table. If I had 100 million in the bank, I would not do sponsorships on videos, and I would not do paid online courses. But I would continue to do YouTube videos for free. I'll just chuck everything on YouTube for free. I would still continue to write books. Check out my book if you haven't already, because writing books is fun. And I would still continue to make software. We're making various apps as part of Sparkle Studios, which is my new business that I'm doing with my wife. Some links down below if you want to check out our apps. We've got VoicePal, Superfocus, and a few other things that are coming out. Making YouTube videos, writing books, and making apps is fun, and I'm doing that for fun and fulfillment, not primarily for money. But releasing online courses and doing sponsorships, I'm doing primarily for money. And it's useful to know what things I'm doing for fun and what things I'm doing for money. I'm not saying that you should never do anything for the money, right? Because if you have revenue goals, or if you have if you want to make some money, you have to do some things for the money. But it's worth knowing what those things are. And then once you've defined what the things are that you're doing for the money, the way I find helpful to think about it is like, okay, cool. Now that I know that I'm doing courses and sponsorships for the money, how can I do those in a way that minimizes the amount of time I personally spend doing stuff I don't want to do? And how do I maximize the enjoyment? So for courses, for example, I have enjoyed the process of making all of our courses, because I know that the reason I'm making this course is because it's good for revenue in the business. Now that I know that, let me put that aside and let me focus on autonomy, mastery, purpose, fun, fulfillment. Let me make this course as good as I can be. Let me focus on enjoying the process. Let me really connect to the impact it's having on our students. Let's make sure that we're getting good feedback from the students, and we're using the feedback to make the course better, because there's something inherently enjoyable about making a product better. It's like, when you know what you're doing for the money, you can optimize for fun within that constraint. But when you know what you're doing for fun, you're okay with leaving money on the table because some things are just enjoyable and interesting, rather than things that make the most money. The other question I find myself asking myself, and also other YouTubers who I do these therapy sessions with, is what is the YouTube channel or the business you would like to have once your financial goals are taken care of? And usually that leads to interesting answers, because you then realize that it's like, oh, I could actually just do that now. I don't need to wait for an arbitrary net worth goal in order to do the thing that I actually want to do. If I'm okay with leaving some money on the table. It always comes down to being okay with leaving money on the table. And the happiest people I know, and the ones who are doing this sort of stuff, online business, any kind of business, most sustainably, are the ones who are okay with leaving money on the table. I think this even applies to massive businesses. So there is a story from Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. I mean, it's not from him, but it's a story about him, where he was in a board meeting or something, and he was really keen on making iPhone and Mac accessible for blind people. Where he was they were spending a lot of time and effort and money trying to make accessibility tools so that people who were blind or partially sighted could still use an iPhone and could still use a Mac. It makes me weirdly emotional to think about this. It's I'm surprised by this. But apparently one of the people on the board or something asked what's the ROI? What's the return on investment of us making our products accessible for blind people? And apparently Tim Cook just sort of scolded the guy, being bro, come on. The reason we're making products accessible for blind people is not so that it has a good ROI. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. In that context, Tim Cook is recognizing that it is okay to leave money on the table in order to do something that you want to do because you think it might have, it's the right thing to do, it's got impact, fulfillment, fun, for whatever reason, it is okay to leave money on the table. Generally, optimizing for making as much money as possible is a recipe to burn out very quickly. And it's not just money here, it's money, views, subscribers, any kind of metric. But money is the most, the most common one. Optimizing for any kind of metric starts to suck the joy out of the process. And so it becomes this sort of healthy-ish balancing act between doing stuff for the metrics and doing stuff for the fun and the fulfillment. Final point is, you just really never know how things are going to go. I could have had absolutely no idea 8 years ago that this is where my YouTube channel would end up. And when I think about the alternative life I would have had being a doctor right now, and I think about just that decision to start a YouTube channel and how it just completely changed everything. That decision to get started and that decision every day to keep going with it. Even like, especially for the first like 2 years where I wasn't really making any money. It has given me the freedom to be able to basically do whatever I want, whenever I want, not do things that I want to do, work with really cool people, meet really cool people, make a shit ton of money. You know, I wouldn't even have met my wife if it wasn't for the YouTube channel, because we connected because both of us were YouTubers. And I would have had absolutely no idea that that is the stuff that would have happened 8 years ago. Final reflection is something that Jeff Bezos sometimes says. Like, imagine in baseball, the highest number of points you can get is 4, right? Like, you could hit a home run, whatever it's called, and you can go around the bases, and now you got 4 points, great. But when it comes to business, yes, there's a low percentage likelihood that every shot you take is going to be successful. But if something is successful, there is no limit to the amount of points you can get. You're not capped at 4 points. If you hit a home run, you could get 1 million points or 1 billion points. And so given that, the only thing you have to lose, like, you have very little to lose by just taking shots on goal. Because if one of those shots works, man, it completely transforms your life. These are not like linear outcomes, these are very asymmetrical outcomes. This YouTube thing is like my 7th attempt at making a business. From the age of 13 up until the age of like 24 when I started my YouTube channel, 23, I had like 8 different businesses that I was trying to run. Most of them completely flopped. One of them sort of was moderately successful and made like 6 figures a year in revenue. And then the YouTube channel started at age 23. If I hadn't taken those other 7 shots, those other 7 like swings of the bat, you know, 6 of them were complete strikeouts. One of them got like a double or whatever. But then the YouTube channel has been a home run with 1 million points relative to all the other things. In baseball, it doesn't make sense to just keep taking the shots because all you can get is 4 points. In business, entrepreneurship, it kind of does. You just keep on taking shots until something works. And then when you find the thing that works, you do it for 10 years. And then you look back and you're like, holy frick, like, my life is completely transformed. And I think so many people, they don't take the first step because they're afraid of missing the shot. I missed 7 shots before one of them worked. And they don't keep on going because once you find something that works, the game is to keep going with it for at least 10 years. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I hope that was vaguely useful. And if you enjoyed this and you haven't yet seen my video on how to get rich, which is another similar sort of speak from the heart and share advice that I wish I would have had earlier, then you might like to check out this video over here. Thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely day. Thank you for 8 years on YouTube, and here's to another 8. Bye. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I would like to make one central point. There's basically just one point I'm going to make throughout the entire video, and that point is all about a number. More specifically, it is about a ratio. And so the ratio is between these 2 numbers, so this is a little exercise that you can try for yourself. Firstly, count how much time in the last 7 days you have spent consuming stuff. Screen time is a good proxy for this. How much time have you spent consuming stuff that has been created by other people? And then once you've done that, you want to estimate how much time you have spent creating something yourself. Now you calculate your creation to consumption ratio, and according to the internet, the average person spends about 28 hours a week consuming stuff created by other people, and only around 2 hours a week doing their own acts of creation.
Let's see. Hey, something not right about this one. It's okay, I'll fix it later. That's okay. Okay. It's all look the same. It's this cute. I like this. Alright, let's go. I love to work 4 hours a day. I think that's very good. Back to Danco. Where is the video? Let's see. Let's see. Let's listen to this one. This one was 5 months ago. A full guide to making your first profitable product. I still feel,
believe it or not,
I still feel lost, and I haven't not really clear on what I'm doing. I think still. So I think I just gotta keep working on myself, doing things, building skills. Just like what Ali has said, you don't just have a niche. You just start making videos, and whatever resonates with you is actually what you care about the most. And I kind of know, but I still don't have a clear idea. I think I'm just not that person yet to create these kind of products. Like, what could I really do? But anyway, let me just watch this video.
believe it or not, you have $1 million trapped in your head. Or it's lying around in your Google Drive, or your Notion, or your Cortex. The point is, you have skills, interests, and some kind of expertise you can package up into a product that sells while you sleep. What you learn in this video will determine most of your success as a creative, but this video is not just about building a product. It involves marketing, it involves launching, it involves promotions, all of these things that creatives, creators, really anyone wanting to build an independent income kind of skips over. They don't learn actual marketing. They don't learn anything involved with monetization or building an income, and then they wonder, oh, why am I stuck in beginner hell? It's not as simple as just, oh, I'm going to build a product and hope that my audience likes it. There's a lot more things that come into play, like how to find a hyper profitable idea, how to create a marketing strategy and iterate with failure, how to position a boring product as something people can't ignore, the 5 elements of an irresistible offer, how to write a landing page even when you have never done that before, how to actually build the product and how to accept payment, and last, how to launch the product so it doesn't sit around collecting dust and you don't waste your time. Now here's the thing, if you want to earn an independent income, you need to sell a product. We've gone over this many times before. We're not here to rely on ad platform revenue that's completely out of your control. You started doing this stuff. You started your own creative work because you wanted to control your income, even if it's not that much, even if it's just like a replacement for your salary, and that allows you to live well. A product will help you do that and control your lifestyle. We'll talk about that. However, most people are like me. You start with client work, you start to see some success, your time gets eaten up, and worst of all, you realize how much you hate working on other people's projects. You left your job because you hated the work, right? You wanted to write, you wanted to explore your interests, you wanted to focus on your craft, but now you're back in survival mode, working from invoice to invoice instead of paycheck to paycheck. But once you have a product that doesn't require your time or labor to earn a substantial income, $100,000 is just a matter of persistence and iteration. It's liberating once you realize that if you can make $1, you can make 1 million if you have a product that is capable of reaching that scale as one person. Now, if you want to stick with client work and hire a team so that you can scale to 1 million plus, be my guest. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. That's actually a very good option. Many people do that with great success. But at the same time, even if you do that, why not just create a product so that 1, you get more warm leads for your client work, and 2, you just have another revenue stream that comes in without any additional work. Now, before we start, understand that this isn't some kind of get-rich-quick mumbo-jumbo. This is learning about product, marketing, and promotions. Those are skills in and of themselves that any business owner can benefit from and has to learn. And another thing, for perspective, is that my first year with building a product, I made around $10,000, which isn't that much, right? You're thinking, okay, $10,000, that doesn't replace my salary. But the thing here is, You'll go to school for 4 years, but you won't stick it out for 2 years to make substantially more than you could have made with your degree. I could go on a rant forever about this, about how people just don't have perspective for pursuing their own dreams. Like, really, it takes longer than 2 weeks to actually build a substantial income for yourself, doing something that is completely unknown, that you have to figure out along the way, that you can see incredible results within 1 to 2 years. But that's just too much time. I don't have that much time. My friend, you spent 12, 16
Exactly.
years of your life working up to what you could make now, and you won't spend 1 to 2 years to make much more than that. You followed the default path up until now. You're limited to the same salary and results as everyone else that took that exact same path, but you going on your own path for 1 to 2 years to get incredibly rare results and irreplaceable results. No, that's too much. I don't have the time. So my first year was 10,000. My second year was around 100,000. Then next year, 150,000. Then 800,000. Then around 4 million. And then last year was around 2 million because revenue split between myself and Cortex. Now let's get started. This is going to be a product and marketing masterclass. This will have every single thing that you need to know.
Maybe like this video.
If you want to make 1 million in 1 year, break it down. 1 million divided by 12 equals $83,333 per month.
I mean, I would be happy with just for now anyway. Let me think. I just want to make at least this much per month times 12. So not even that much. So let's just do 50. 50 divided by 12. Bring home 4,000 net. I'm not talking about gross. That'd be 5,000. Just increasing it. 5,000 a month. Right? Doing what I'm doing. 5,000 a month. How many is that? 30 days. $166 a day. What do I need to sell? If I sell, I only want 5 sales. Let's say 5. I have to make something that's at least 37. I'm thinking 17. You know why? I feel like 17. So let's say, for example, let's make $5,000 a month. Divide this by 30. You know what? 17. 0970. 0970. 21. Okay, I want to make this much. 917.21 per year. Gross. No, net. Divided by 365 days. That's 251 per day. And I want to make it price at $17. So I need to sell about 15 per day. What could I make at $17? This doesn't seem too bad. Like when you talk about it like that.
That divided by 30 equals 2,777 per day. So you can reach that by landing one $5,000 client every other day, or selling 8.
I gotta pause this. I gotta talk to Eddie real quick about something. He's been calling me, and then you've been postponed. So I gotta put the Alright, I'm back. Got that stuff going on. Like, every time I talk to Eddie, I start feeling bad because I'm not doing his stuff too much. Oh, that's why. I mean, man, like I have so much to do. How am I gonna just catch up? Because I've been really focusing my energy more on my challenge, and then I want to do another challenge in August if I do some other things. I don't know. I just have my own agenda as well, and yeah. But I gotta put in my schedule, my time to do his stuff. Though, like really need to really focus on that. So we shall see. It's just, yeah. Well, the kids were here, and then Phil was home. So, but then I start thinking, I don't know, maybe I'm just being ungrateful. Like, ugh, why do I have to do this? I mean, okay, now we're here. We're gonna get some quotes. These are fine. I don't know why this is happening. A quote for this one would be a good, nice live free or something. Live free and relax and let's see. Give me. Someone's having problems. What's this? What's going on here? Seems fine, my niece. Okay. I need some quotes for Boho style design. Something simple. Vaccinated. Quote. Real photo. Never mind. I'm just gonna put live free right there. Maybe 2 or 3 word. Oh yeah, let me tell my niece real quick. I like the green in here, so I'll go ahead and use this one. Like maybe. Ooh, no. There's so much. So cool. Oh, this is annoying me. Finish this first. She doesn't look pretty. I think it's meant to be one of these. I know. Should be this color. Affiliation together. Maybe this. Okay. I like give me Maya and cool. People. Okay, oh no. Ugh. I don't like it. I don't like it. Maybe other way. No. What to do? I feel like this one's on the sale. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not sure you feel kind of hungry. Alright, let's see. I guess. I guess. I feel like this doesn't look that nice. Font design. Nah, I don't think that needs anything here actually. Just keep it like that simple. In that case, no, so page 2, page 6. Okay. I'm hungry a little bit. I ate at 12. Now it's should I eat something quick? Maybe I just get something, bring it up here and eat while I continue this. So pretty much after this I'm done. I'm gonna start mocking up and then also do the listings. So we're waiting. I feel hungry. Like, really hungry. I feel really hungry. Get some food. food. We have rice, veggies, pretty much everything. You know, carbs, protein, fat, everything. We're kind of lazy. It's weird. I feel excited sometimes to cook things, but at the same time I get lazy. Like right now, I feel lazy because I'm just by myself. Ooh, hot. Okay. My photo. Did it freeze? Let's listen to this.
$150 products a day. That's 720 people to a page that converts at 2.5%. 720 people to a landing page at conversion rate of 2.5% is pretty doable, right? I mean, it's going to take a while to get there, but if you do the math, break down, okay, if I start writing on Twitter, and a lot of beginners can get, if they do it wise, watch my other one-person business videos in that playlist, but if you do it wisely, then you can get 100,000 impressions your first month. You can have one TikTok or one reel go viral and get 1 million views. And if you get 720 of those people to a page once a day at 2.5% conversion rate, split up as much as you want, that's how you make $1 million a year. It's pretty feasible, not easy by any means, but it's feasible when you understand the moving parts of business. So in order to build this product, we need to have our $1 million idea. We need to know what to build. And this is a lot simpler than you think. Now here's a mindfuck for you. You've already purchased a $1 million product. You've purchased hundreds, in fact, if not more. Do you know what that means? It means you're probably overthinking it. It means that most ideas can be taken to 1 million if you understand exactly what I'm going to say throughout this video. Now, I'm assuming this is your first product and you are a beginner. So the best progression to follow going into a future of AI would be this. First, build an audience as a free and high leverage traffic source. Second, become an authority in your interests or expertise. Third is start a personal system, digital product that you can test fast. That's the secret there. Personal system. That's what separates you. Fourth is persist and iterate until you reach $100,000 plus. Fifth, then, since you have so much data and results, turn that system into something like a software or physical product. So the progression, build an audience where the attention is. Right now, that's social media. Tomorrow, it could be intergalactic space. Just go where the attention is. Right now, again, social media, go there. It's free, accessible. You can write, you can grow for free. And it's a skill. If you aren't growing, watch my last video on 7 reasons why 99% of creators aren't going to make it. Then you become an authority because you aren't Marcus Aurelius from the start. These philosophical quotes that you're posting aren't going to do anything until people care about you. So you build authority. Again, watch the last video. Then you build a digital product in a way that you can as a beginner. So you can generate cash flow. And then once you have cash flow and an audience, then building your startup or your dream business isn't too far off because you have people and you have money. Or even by that point, you can just live how you want and you can focus on your craft and you have more than enough money to show up and do what you want every day. Now, the big question here is, what is a personal system product? In my eyes, it's the safest option to take that can not be replaced by AI. Sure, AI can help you build the thing, but it's not going to do that thing and take your audience or your customers. Now, this can be done in the form of a freelance service, coaching service, education product, or software. As an example, my 2-hour writer product, just my most popular course, is I'm not teaching people writing, right? That's just super basic. Nobody would buy that. Some people would buy it, sure, but it's a commodity. It would be very low price. I teach people my system for how I write because I came up with it. I experimented with it. I started from zero and I started planning out, okay, how can I get better results? Put the pieces together, which I'll show you how to do all of this. But that's what makes it valuable along with every other piece of the offer creation process. And that's the thing. It positions writing, something which is often perceived as too boring or too academic or that you need an English degree, in a way that is desirable to people like my past self. Now with that, I write a newsletter. I break that down into a thread. I break those down into social posts and I cross-post those across all different platforms. It's a very simple system for posting content to all different platforms with less than 2 hours of writing a day. Now, the thing here is like, okay, well, course, why is this a course? I could easily turn this into a freelance service or a coaching service or a consulting service or a software like I am with Cortex, kind of, that outperforms a lot of the freelance and coaching services on the market because it's based on a personal system. I don't do that because I don't have time and because I just don't like client work and I can help more people in the form of a course. It's the same freaking thing. I hate people who gain this like moral high ground of like, oh, I do the hard work. I have a freelance offer and I work with clients and I build out these projects and like I'll never sell a course because that's just weird and scam and unethical. We'll talk about that. It's just a stupid way of thinking. So if you want to avoid client work so you don't have to work on other people's projects and you can work on your own projects for as long as you want and you can control how you spend your day, you don't have to fill it with all of these calls, then the only two options left for you outside of freelance, coaching, whatever other beginner business model there is either an education product or a software product. And with the software product, what I'm talking about is how AI is advancing to the point where most people can build an app. You can go to lovable.com or Bolt and you can have it kind of guide you through creating an app, but that still requires learning. You still need to understand programming to some extent, and you still need to understand how to create and market an offer. I don't think that's as good of an option as an education product, as an absolute beginner, as someone who's just starting, who doesn't want to learn another skill. That's why I recommend writing so much. It's because you don't need to learn video editing or programming or all these things to get started. That's all this is. This is a way to get started so that you can iterate and improve the product and change its shape over time. If you want to build a software after you get started, that's great. But we're doing something that is extremely quick to build and test so you understand what sells, you make money, then you can make it a lot better over time. Now, what is an education product? It comes in the form of courses, communities, or cohorts, and these are often accompanied by certain templates or worksheets or things that add more value to the product and allow people to actually change their behavior. That's what education products are. You know, the ones that line Alex Hormozi's portfolio because he knows that where those are going to go in the future. He's taking a bet on them. They're the info products that people love to pin in a bad light as if education isn't the most important aspect of your development or what will prepare you for a future that schools won't be able to keep up with. A good education product can change someone's life 10 times more than a physical product or software could any day. Creators are decentralized teachers. They are the new school system on the internet. Creators, not content creators, just people who create their life, are those who forge new paths and pass down the esoteric information that allow you to take advantage of new opportunities. As long as people buy books, they will buy courses. This is one thing that I don't understand. People will shit on courses and then they're selling a book and you don't understand that it's the exact same thing. The courses are just organized in a way that is easier to retain. They're arguably more valuable than a book, but it's like, ooh, I wrote a book. That's some magic. I've written a book. I understand how it feels. It feels cool to have like a book, but think straight. Think clearly. Stop regurgitating what all of these anti-gurus have put into your head. Conditioning your mind to only see half the picture of education products is as stupid as you think courses are. You don't whine about there being 129,864,880 books in the world, most of them bad because anyone can type on a keyboard. So if you can't come to terms with info products, you're in for a bad time. Now, I want to add a bit of nuance here, and I'm spending way too much time on this specific topic, but of course, a bad info product is bad. But what you don't understand is that everyone starts out bad. Am I telling you to intentionally put out a terrible product? No, I'm telling you to put something out so you can fail in public and potentially get criticized, so that way you improve it so that it becomes a good product. Now, the last objection that I'll go over is just, but Dan, people are just teaching others what they do themselves. Like, I teach what I do. It's like, no shit, that's what the market wants, and that's what people are qualified to teach. That's arguably the only thing that people are qualified to teach. If you aren't teaching what you know, then you're a liar. I teach writing positioned a specific way because that's what people find most valuable. I could just teach writing. I could teach some writing that didn't have to do with social media, but social media and the creator economy is so freaking large right now that that's what everyone's doing, because creators are small businesses. It's a B2B, business to business, or C2C, creator to creator. Everyone's selling to creators because there's so freaking many. The B2B market is huge. The creator to creator market is huge. You think it's like everyone's just selling to creators because that's like everyone's just hopping on the bandwagon. No, it's because that's a massive market. The point is, you're going to build an education product as your first product. And if you don't, you're going to waste a ton of time unless you have a lot of money and experience already. So that's what the rest of this letter is focused on. So how do you turn what you do into a product idea? The best education products are the ones that solve a specific pain point, give people a system to get results, provide clarity on everything involved with performing the system. First, we need to decide the topic of the product you want to create. Then we'll get into the fun stuff of how to market the product. So first, think of an area that you have the most experience in. Something that you've taken the time to study or implement in your life. You don't need the personal system part just yet. You just need the topic. So here's a list to spark some ideas: writing, video editing, speaking, social dynamics, relationships and dating, productivity, web design or development, artificial intelligence, mental health, weightlifting, running, nutrition, learning faster, knowledge management, managing finances, landing job interviews, and really anything that you can find on social media or the topic of a book or something that people buy because it's valuable. So here, simply think of one thing that you're above average at and write it down. Now, second, we need to research products and marketing ideas within that specific topic. Our goal here is to find the intersection of what works and what you can do better. So write down at least 10 to 20 ideas here. Here's how you find these ideas. Search your topic on course sites like Masterclass, Udemy, or Skillshare. Search Reddit for course reviews like best training programs in the health topic or any topic. Dig through accounts you follow, join their email lists, and identify what products they sell on their site and in their funnel. Remember products you've bought in the past and resurface them. Find X accounts within that topic, use Twemex to see their top performing tweets, search for keywords related to your topic, and save posts that you can use as ideas for the product or marketing. Find YouTube accounts within that topic, filter their videos by most popular, and write down popular video titles that could turn into a product. Now, if you want to do this in something like Cortex, first just create a document titled your product. Just say product. And then as you're doing research, you can open up Capture. As you're doing the research on YouTube, you press Option C to open up Capture and then connect to that document. So type @product in Capture to save and organize those little ideas that you can open on the side. And then as you actually build out the product, you can add sub-documents under the main product document. So let's imagine that you want to build a business around social dynamics. You could go to the Charisma on Command YouTube channel and filter their videos by most popular and just look through them and see what you could turn into some kind of product that people would want. So here's a screenshot of just the Charisma on Command YouTube channel. You can see these get an insane amount of views, and you can see that each one of these titles could probably be turned into a course in and of itself. Now, we don't want to take what's free and make it paid. We want to create something new. So you're going to keep these in mind to help position your marketing as we create your actual offer. So looking at those top videos, you can instantly see that people want to be interesting and confident and less insecure. And that's all you need to know in order to start creating a product that will sell. You now have a list of successful product and marketing ideas that you can combine, add to, simplify, or make unique. We'll do that next. For the courses you find, buy them. Don't cheap out now. If you don't know how to structure a product, then you need to use a few as a reference point for inspiration. You don't need to know exactly what you want to create just yet. For brand, tell a story. For content, make a map. For product, enforce a habit. Now we need to learn how to market and build the product, because most people waste 2 to 3 months building a product just for it to never be launched, or worse, never make any sales. We're going to do the opposite. You're going to make money before you even start building the product. That way, if you don't make money, you can pivot fast and try again. Once you strike gold, you give it everything you have. Build it over the course of 2 to 3 weeks and launch a successful product. This is yet another reason why education products are superior. You can test and iterate fast. You can turn them into a software or another product. They are genuinely helpful to those who purchase them. if they're good. In other words, most products should start as an education product, and most founders could create a new revenue channel simply by adding some form of education, even if it's just an ebook. Now, the first step to any kind of marketing is just choosing a target persona. So that's what we need to do. But people get stuck on this part way too much. So let's just simplify it, make it super simple. You need a target persona who you're positioning the product toward so that your marketing is specific and tangible. That's it. The thing is, there is a much larger market of people who will also resonate with your marketing, especially if you are marketing with social media. You don't want to be too specific or else your content won't get spread to more people. So personally, I think you should choose from two options here. One is target yourself or your past self. The reason behind doing that is because you're familiar with your pain points, you're familiar with your experience and your story and your results. You are a customer avatar that you can research and interview at any time with self-reflection. The second one is target people who have a lot of money. So founders, executives, or those with high-paying jobs. But the problem with targeting people that have a lot of money is that you often don't understand them. And if you're doing something on social media, they're few and far between and it's harder to get in front of. So if you're building something like an agency or you're doing direct sales or something like that Alex Hormozi can help you with and talks about this all the time, then go and target those people and you can build a very good business doing that. But I personally, I want the fulfillment. I want the soul in my work. I want to help people who are like me build a community of those people so that I enjoy my work and I enjoy who I work with and I enjoy who I help. Now that's all you need for now. You just need a vague idea of who you're targeting. Now we need to create the actual offer for that person. So we're taking the topic that we came up with earlier and now we're going to make it irresistible. You don't start with the product. You start with the marketing. Because if you get the marketing right, you can build the product around what works. It's a lot easier to build a product based on good marketing than it is to create marketing based on a bad product. Now take your topic, all of the ideas you've gathered, and write these down. One is the big problem. This is the most important thing that needs to be nailed down. What is the big burning problem related to the topic? Where are people right now? And if they don't change, where will that lead? So this is more about just the big problem. It's the big problem and the negative outcome of that. The problem is the starting point of their transformation. The problem should be relatable, so they have to be able to feel and experience the problem. It needs to be relevant. The problem has to be important and worth solving, and it needs to be research backed. You have to make sure that you aren't just making up the problem. Now, most burning problems fall within the health, wealth, and relationships categories. So if your topic is weightlifting, the problem could be a few things. So a health example of the problem could be, without resistance training, you're more likely to develop chronic disease and have difficulty moving around as you age. The wealth example of a problem would be, if you don't look good, people won't respect you because your body reflects your discipline and commitment. You're less likely to get opportunities, promotion, and trust from high-value people. A relationships example of the problem is you lack the confidence to go up and talk to a stranger, or you feel insecure when you take your shirt off around your spouse, leading to a poor sex life, which creates little problems in other areas of the relationship. Now, surprisingly, with weightlifting, the most burning problem here isn't the health aspect of it. The burning problem is being perceived as high value so that you can get what you want out of life and stop feeling so sorry for yourself. Now, if you wanted to amplify that problem more or come up with a negative outcome, you would talk about how a lack of social opportunities leads to a feeling of loneliness. And that affects your mental health. That makes it harder to act with discipline in any other area of your life. You get stuck in a specific job and environment and have no idea why you can't get out. Now, a tip with all of this, as you're brainstorming these marketing ideas and your offer, none of these will be perfect the first time around. This whole product thing, it isn't formulaic. You don't just write everything down and then expect to make $1 million. All of this, all of business, content, product, brand, whatever, it's all iteration. If it were as simple as a list of steps that I could give you here, everyone would be a freaking millionaire. They're not. The people who follow the rules, then break the rules, then create their own rules, are the ones who see success. These are just my rules that I both created and taken and merged into one, into a way that has worked for me. So if you can find inspiration and something to experiment in with that, do it. Now the question there is like, okay, well, how do I refine and iterate on the marketing strategy? Well, you read books on the topic, you watch YouTube videos on the topic, you open up your product document that you made in Cortex, You open up Capture and you connect the ideas to that. You highlight things, you connect things together so you have it all there when it comes time to create the actual product. Another thing is you just talk to more people with the problem. You write about it more on social media and see what people actually resonate with related to the product. You get all of this data with everything that you do and merge it into one. Now, the second step after the big problem is the desired outcome, because people want a transformation. That's transformation sell. That's the only thing that sells, is a transformation. I'm here. I want to be here. What's going to help me get there? This product. And if your product can't help them get there, or it doesn't tell them that it will help them get there, it's not going to be perceived as valuable. Now, the thing here is that if you don't nail the big problem, then the desired outcome isn't going to be something desirable, because it's based on a problem that isn't that valuable. So that's another reason to take your time with the marketing, to write about it more on social media, see what gets picked up, talk about the problem a lot, different problems, health, wealth, relationships, all of these different angles, test them. So if our problem in general is a lack of confidence or feeling insecure or not wanting to take your shirt off around your wife or husband or whatever it may be, then the general desired outcome of the weightlifting example that we've been going over is just having a body that commands respect. Now we need to make that more relevant, relatable, and research-backed. What do people actually want? Why do they want it? For men, they want visible abs, a decent jawline, broad shoulders, and to feel confident in their own skin when it's time to talk with other people or get naked. For women, I can't really speak to this, but I'd assume they want an hourglass figure, a nice butt, visible abs, and to feel hot and sexy. They want their man to fawn over them. To make this even more potent and to just flesh out your marketing even more, you can also tack on a big benefit to the desired outcome. So why do men want chiseled abs? Why do women want a big butt? Remember here that a lot of this stems from the target persona. So if I were to think for myself, why do I want abs? Mostly to look sick when I take off my shirt. Like, that's what everyone wants. And I guess an esoteric tip there with that is you should usually start pretty surface level, because beginners, they're not looking for the depth. All the spiritual people in my audience, myself included, with going deep and like kind of getting annoyed when people don't appreciate the depth of something, it's because they haven't even started. You have to start on the surface before you go into the depth. So with something like fitness or health, you're usually starting with things that are superficial, and then you're introducing them. It's people start in the gym for vanity and stay for the therapy. They don't start for therapy and stay for the vanity. That's most cases. So you talk about the abs, you talk about the big butt and them getting that, and then in it, you ease them into the depth of like, do you see how rewarding it is to continue going to the gym and making these tiny gains? Do you see the parallels between life and weightlifting, so on and so forth? But that's not something that's going to attract a lot of people and help a lot of people on the front end. So we have the big problem, desired outcome. Now we need a believable time frame. How long is it going to take for them to get from the big problem to the desired outcome? Because time frames supercharge your marketing. 30 days, 3 to 6 months, 6 weeks, 2 hours. All of this can be used for content as well, because your videos, your posts, whatever they are, they're an offer. Timeframes help make your product tangible. They are a reference point that spark desire in the reader. Timeframes also help compress what you put into the product. A lot of people just throw everything they know into one product rather than only putting in what is valuable to solving the problem and reaching the desired outcome. Now, let this sit. You may not know how long it takes or what time frame you want to put on it, but it may help to come back after we create your personal system. So that's step 4, is creating a personal system. You have the big problem, desired outcome, you have a time frame for how long it takes, and the personal system is the thing that takes you from point A to point B. It's the thing that sparks the transformation. The thing here is you could copy someone else's product and you could exchange their personal system for your personal system, and it will probably sell pretty well and do pretty well. Now, you probably shouldn't do that because you're copying a lot of other stuff over, but it helps to look at people's products who have done well, think, okay, what's my personal system for doing this? What's my burning problem that I'm helping people overcome? What's the desired outcome? Now, how am I going to structure this in a way that people actually want? Now, how do you create a personal system? You experiment on yourself or someone else who is willing to help you and fits your target persona. This also gives you results that you can show for social proof if you are a beginner. So here's what you do. 1, open something like Cortex to write this down. 2, remember the problem and outcome. 3, write out a list of steps they need to take over the course of the time frame. 4, these steps should involve everything related to reaching the outcome. With something like weight training, nutrition usually has to be touched on as well. 5 is test it on yourself or your target persona for that time frame. 6 is write down places that it can be improved. 7, rewrite the list of steps and test it again. 8, repeat until it can get results for more people. Then slap a name on your system. So to reiterate on that, you have burning problem, where they are now, point A. Desired outcome, where they want to be, point B. Now, write out every single step, as many steps as possible in between the two. How do you get to the other one? What do people need to know? What skills do they need to acquire? What steps do they need to take? Write it all out. Then you take that, you test it out on yourself or someone else. You refine it. You notice what isn't getting good results, and then you change it out until it gets results. In the gym, this could be a training program. It could be a nutrition protocol. It could be a writing system. It could be a video editing system. It could be how to weave a basket. It could be how to grow plants. If those are accompanied by a burning problem and a desired outcome that people actually care about, then you can sell anything. If they don't sell, then the problem isn't burning enough and the outcome isn't desirable enough. For something like weight training or health, you see this all the time. Intermittent fasting. That's a personal system that has gotten, it's gained a lot of popularity. Strong lifts 5x5. If you're a beginner in the gym, you've probably heard that before because it's the go-to for most beginners in the gym. Now, with this personal system, if you bake other aspects of your marketing, like the time frame into this, then you get something like 2-hour writer, or the system inside of there is the 2-hour content ecosystem. Your personal system is the thing that makes people think this could finally solve my problem, because it probably will. Now, a step in between there, step 4.5, is education, right? You have the personal system, you have the list of steps that people need to take, but what's the accompanying thing that people need to know in order to do that well? That's where your curriculum comes into place. Think of, like, if you're writing a book outline, what's the nuance, the in-between, all of the education that people need to understand. Write that out as well. Now, step 5 is features and benefits. So we have pretty much the outline. We have point A, point B, the steps in between, the education that people need to have. Now we need to turn those into features and benefits so that they fit in the marketing. Because the thing here is that most people only list out the features of their product, but that's not persuasive. People don't care about the product, they care about how the product changes their life. This is just marketing 101, but even the most advanced marketers get tripped up here. We all forget and don't remind ourselves of the fundamentals. So when you list out features like a 5-week training program, cookbook with 20 recipes, or learn the top 5 exercises for chest growth, pair them with a compelling benefit or completely exchange the boring feature for the benefit. So it could be a 5-week program so you know exactly what to do when you step in the gym, no more feeling lost. A cookbook with 20 filling and low-calorie foods so you can feel stuffed without the guilt. The top 5 exercises for chest growth so you don't waste years without developing shirt-splitting pecs. There's a common theme here. When you're writing benefits, you usually bridge the feature with so you can, or with the word without. So you can and without. So from here, you take all of the pieces from your education and personal system, all of the steps that you wrote down, and you turn them into features with accompanying benefits. On your landing page, this is where you introduce the offer. Like when people are actually reading, okay, what's included in the offer? This is it. Now, step 6 is the delivery mechanism. How are we packaging all of this up and giving it to the customer? Before we understand that, let's just recap with an example based on something else that isn't the fitness or weightlifting. For the topic, let's do productivity. For the target persona, my past self, an 18-year-old who wants to balance study and building a business. The big problem and negative outcome is that I don't want a traditional 9-to-5 job, but I'm falling behind in classes and my business has taken a backseat. If I can't study for long periods and work on my business for long periods, I'll get stuck in a comfortable job and it will be extremely difficult to get out. 40 years later, I would wish that I took the time to study. The desired outcome here is deep focus for 12 plus hours a day without Adderall. The believable time frame is 14 days. The personal system I would call the attention marathon, a training program for your mind to run a marathon. The education is everything about the flow state, dopamine, workspace setup, avoiding distractions, etc. And I know this is a validated idea because I could research YouTube and find this, which is a video with 14 million views. It's how I studied for 12 hours a day over a year. That's validation enough that this can work if I iterate and test enough. So now that we have the plan and an offer outlined, we need to decide how we're going to deliver the actual offer. And there's a few options here. The first is an ebook, which is quick to make but hard to charge a lot for. There's an email course, which is structured learning, but most people fall off. Next is a cohort, which is a 4 to 8 week curriculum with calls and a community, and it only opens for enrollment 4 times or so a year. It's good for scarcity and perceived value, but they're often expensive. Then there's just a normal course, which is an evergreen product that can be promoted at all times, but you need a lot of traffic. Then there's a community with monthly recurring revenue, but that equals monthly recurring work. It's harder to sell, but it's a huge payoff if you commit to it. A lot of people are starting school communities and all of these things based on monthly recurring revenue. And while they're a great thing to do, I've done them multiple times. And it's very similar to client work, where eventually, if you're not enjoying it day in, day out, it's a lot of work on your plate. It's not monthly passive income. It's monthly, I'm working hard in order to get more people into this, because people are skeptical with buying recurring subscriptions, especially ones that are high priced, and you probably don't have a traffic source that's going to fuel that enough for it to gain velocity. And then the last is software, which takes longer to build. It has higher chances at failure, but can pay off big time if you dedicate 5 to 10 years to it, or land the viral jackpot fast. Now, to make any of these a bit more valuable, you can add templates or worksheets or trackers in something like Notion or Cortex, and that alone sometimes makes the education product worth paying for. That's what makes it more valuable than something like a free video or a book or something else that's lower cost. Now, I can't really tell you which one to choose. All of them work. You can make any of them work. Some are harder, some are more easy, some just try it. But a good beginner progression could look like this. So start with a $27 ebook on a specific topic, like focusing 12 hours a day, and then turn that into a module of a larger $150 course with a Focus Hub template to plan their study and work blocks, and then expand that into an even more comprehensive $399 cohort on living in flow. You can promote the ebook anywhere, that's top of funnel, and then you can promote the course on back-end emails or in YouTube descriptions, and then the cohort only happens 4 times a year, so that's easier to launch those 4 times a year and usually leads to a big spike in revenue. Now, after you've outlined everything, you just did everything in that entire section, it's time to make your first dollar. I want to reiterate that this is the best route for beginners. You can't do what we're going to talk about with almost any other type of product. In the past, digital products weren't really a thing. You would spend a ton of time building a product that may or may not work. You pour money into product development, set up manufacturing and distribution, and then launch. And there's some statistics circulating in the space of something like 95% of businesses fail within their first year. The thing about building an audience and digital product is that you can pivot. You can test ideas daily in your content. You can turn those ideas into a marketing strategy. You can build a landing page, add payment, and launch pre-orders. If it doesn't work, you can scrap it and try again an infinite amount of times until it works. In other words, it is impossible to fail if you persist and iterate. And when it comes time to turn that into a startup or more demanding physical product, you already have so much data that the likelihood of success is much higher. So again, another point, if you want to even build a software or build a physical product, just start with the education product first so that you can get the right angle out. If you want to go and sell a planner and don't know what to put in the planner or market the planner, create a digital planner first, sell that, iterate on it until it's good, and then turn it into a physical one so you know that it will do well. So we have our marketing strategy. Here's what we do next. We're going to create the landing page first. And you can do this on something like Stan, right? Stan.store. Link in the description to try them out. If you haven't watched the podcast that I did with the co-founders of it, go watch that. But on Stan, that they allow you to host really any type of digital product. You can schedule coaching calls. You can have a lead magnet. You can have a course. You can have a digital product. You can have whatever it may be. And the landing pages are super simple. You don't need to learn design. You don't need to learn anything. It's just text. And from Stan, they arguably have the highest converting landing pages on the market because it's just so quick to get through them. understand the gist, press buy. Once you have the landing page, you're going to launch the product. You're not going to build out any portion of the product aside from the outline before launching the product. Now, to do this, you have to tell the customers that it's going to release on a specific date. So if I start promoting it 4 weeks ago and I need to tell them the course comes out today, the digital product comes out today, inside of Stan, what you can do is when people sign up, once they pay, they get added to a course platform, and then the only thing there, it gives them information on when it's going to release and what they should expect. Now, once you make the first sale, the pressure is on. You can't quit now. You have to focus and build a good product, or else you just stole people's money. Now, with this, writing the landing page, copywriting is easy once you have the marketing strategy in place. You just need to learn how to structure it, because the entire point of copywriting, if you don't know what copywriting is, I'm not talking about copyright like the legal intellectual property law. I'm talking about copyright, like writing, not right side of the hand, right like writing. It means persuasive writing. The entire point of copywriting is to illustrate the offer in a persuasive and clear way, so that our marketing strategy is clear. We just need to put that into writing. Now, there are many ways to do this, but here's just a general landing page outline that we're going to go over. So at the top, you have headline, then subheadline, then a button. You can't do this on Stan, but if you're building your own custom landing page, then that's where I would put the button. Then you illustrate the problem and negative outcome, and then you talk about the desired outcome and personal system. Then you have social proof. Then you introduce the offer with the features and benefits, and then you can have an FAQ if you'd like. So if we start with the headline, your headline and subheadline should be a condensation of all of the value inside of your offer. Your job is to combine the most potent parts of the big problem, desired outcome, personal system, time frame, and potentially the target persona in this section. For my productivity product, the headline could be study for 12 hours a day without Adderall with a 14-day program. Now, if you want templates or guides for any of this, check out Mental Monetization, link in the description. Now, in the subheadline, you're going to add the other parts that you didn't put in the headline. So since I included the desired outcome and time frame in the headline because it was the most potent, I could make my
He makes it sound so easy, but I get the idea. Like, he's just giving you an idea. Of course, that's why he has courses that is more into detail that you work on a daily basis. Okay. My internet here is really slow. I realized that when I came home, so I'm thinking I should do this at home, and that means when I come home I do that. And here I'm gonna focus on my upcoming thing, which would be my listings now. So I should create listing photos for my bundle and my shop, my whole shop access listing instead, because that's more on a slower pace. Yeah, so I could do that. That makes sense. Yep. This is taking way too long, and I probably need to talk to Phil because I gotta get the increase on the internet speed is so bad. Maybe that's why everything's slow. I'm still working on that. Gonna go down, get this cleaned up real quick. Still downloading? Oh my goodness. This is horrible. This getting so slow. I'll be a bitch about this.
Headline, use the attention marathon system to avoid a low-paying 9-to-5 and conquer cheap dopamine. So there I put in the personal system, the big problem, and I even tossed in a high-performing topic like cheap dopamine to just capture attention more. Now in the next section, if you know what a landing page looks like, it has the headline, the subheadline, and then it goes into kind of like a wall of text. That's called the lead, and this is where you...
This doesn't make sense if I'm wasting so much time just uploading. Yeah, that'd be dumb.
Illustrate the big problem and the negative outcome. You illustrate and amplify the problem. When you start with the problem, you increase the reader's awareness around the problem. You give them the belief that their life can change, because it can, by using a system that helped you. Now, personally, I like to include a few short sentences that state the problem, then follow that with a bullet point list of pain points that stem from that problem. You can visit any of my landing pages to see this in action. I do it for all of them. Now, if you don't know what to write here, just use a personal story. Where did you start? Where were you before this? Why did you want to change? And what did you try that didn't work? So we have headline, subheadline, lead that illustrates the problem with a personal story. So you talk about where you were, etc. And now you transition into the personal system. So this is the transition from problem to, okay, here's what we do differently. So in this section, continue the story. What was the turning point in your story? How did you discover and create the personal system? Why is it better than most other solutions on the market? And if you can add a graphic here to help explain the system, even better. After the personal system is where I like to just put results or testimonials. So this can be images, it can be text, it can be your own personal results. You just list out as much social proof as you have here. And if you don't have social proof, then you either need to list your own. So you need screenshots or you need pictures of yourself. If like you have a 6-pack and that's what you're selling, or showed you at a desk, you need to show something to show that it's believable. You'll get testimonials as you get customers, but you can also reach out to your friends and network to see if they will go through it for free and give you the testimonial. Now, after that list of images or screenshots or social proof, now the next section is the features and benefits section. It's the offer introduction. So you have a headline that's like introducing name of the product, and then you go into each feature and how it's structured, and then each feature has an accompanying benefit. Now, soon after this section, you have a call to action, and this is the main call to action that asks them to buy. What I like to do here is some kind of comparison. Usually, I like to compare where you were at before the program, where you'll be at after the program. So that brings up the problem again, it makes them aware of it, and then reminds them of the main benefits. And then after the call to action section, you can have an FAQ section, but if you're building on something like Stan, I would just get straight to the point, leave the FAQ section out, because it just increases the amount of time it takes for people to reach where they can pay. Now, once you have the landing page, just the MVP of the landing page, bare bones. You don't even have the product built yet. Launch. It shouldn't take longer than 1 to 2 weeks to create the actual landing page if you're a beginner. It can take 1 day if you've done this before. But once you have it, launch. Set the release date, 3 to 4 weeks out from your first promotion.
Oh my goodness.
Promote in your newsletter every week.
So
Place the link
long.
everywhere in your bio and descriptions.
Maybe
Right?
this is taking away bandwidth. Oh, it's so slow. Let me reset. Okay, I'm gonna end this here, and when I start again, I'm gonna start working on my design or listing. Okay. Taking so long. feel wasted, like my day's wasted. What the heck's going on? It's taking so long. Anyway, while we wait for this, probably continue thinking, brainstorming my things. Let's see what makes sense. I wish I didn't have to do AD stuff, but I need to do that. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like doing anything anymore right now. I feel kind of depressed. Or down. I shouldn't say depressed. Sleepy. I didn't sleep too well today. Really tired. Okay, here we have this. Like I'm feeling burnout or something. Like what do I really want to do? I don't think the attitude I have right now is gonna be good long term. Like this is not gonna help me. I mean, I would think about all the business owners out there, Danco, Bailey Bond, like Alex, Armozy, everybody, they actually got a real business. And their whole team. I don't know what I'm doing. This one, probably not gonna happen. What do I really want, really? What makes sense? What makes sense? I'm still waiting. What makes, oh, see, this is not gonna work out. It's a tough feel. I'm gonna create this listing and also the image. Yes. I haven't done any piano for a long time. Oh my goodness, this doesn't make sense. Why is it taking so long? Oh my god. Like 20 minutes? Really? Really? Why? Who's stealing our internet? Oh my god. Okay, anyway, go back to my Cortex. There's some planning to do. What makes sense? What makes sense? So, once I'm done with this, I need to continue learning after post challenge. Okay. Post challenge. I need to keep it up. I need to at least put 5 good listings. Does that even make sense? Oh my god, how can I make it better? least to put at least, I mean, I wanna like focus on the design, on design skills, the type of design that learning. So basically more learning. I mean, I already have a few things I need to work on to learn how to do. That's that part. Maybe once a week. Okay. That one. And then, so let's just, I don't want to give a number. No, I need to give a number. But later. What else? How do I gotta work on Eddie stuff. I need to give myself some time. Oh, I feel like too much is going on. That's what I was saying. That well, I can do that for sure though. Cause I don't know how to do it. I need to learn clip art. You know what? The next thing I gotta do is it has to be clip art. Clip art. Yes. I need to do 100 clip art now. How do I do this? Clip art. Clip art designs. That needs to be the next one. It's clip art. It's clip art in SVG file. Hold on. Okay, let me say I'm like this. Up here. Let me talk to this AI person. What is going on? I also need to talk to you. 7 day, please. Thank you. Okay. I'll worry about this stuff later. Okay, clip art. Explain to me. I want, okay. I want to do, let's be very specific. Clip art, floral clip art. Floral clip art. And those are usually SVG files, correct? Or SVG. Oh no. Wrong person to ask. I'm at the wrong place. Right here. The heck is this? Okay, both are common for floral clip art. Okay, you're correct that floral art clip is commonly known as created as PNG, but you see okay. PNG advantage. Okay. So wait. Do I start with PNG and then forward? Or it was Okay. Okay, let me think. Oh, hold on. So SVG files are usually black and white, right? So if I convert the SVG to PNG, there is really no color, right? Okay. Oh, really? Oh, really? How? How does that work? I didn't know that. Let me see. Full color SVG file. Image. Wow, this has opened up something new to me. This is interesting. Let me see that. That's so cool. Oh my goodness. Okay, I just got a new challenge. Okay. What would make sense is I'm gonna learn. My next challenge is to create SVG color SVG file, which I can later convert to PNG. That's another thing. So, if that's I need to focus on. I'm gonna just then create a bunch of SVG then. Okay, next one would be what are we gonna do? Oh, is it done? Is it done yet? Oh, finally. Okay. PNG files, right? Okay, I'm gonna go back here and we're gonna put it in here, right? Let's export. Yep. Put it here, and then we're removing that goth one. That one I just realized it was off. Green of the green. Look at this QUI. My goodness. Delete it. And we don't need this one either. Done. So let me see how long this is gonna take me. So I don't forget. Bella. There you go. I think 2 days straight.
Threads, create carousels, or film reels, or whatever other kind of content you make.
What should I do? I do want to do the SVG next because I can convert to PNG, which is awesome. And I do want some clip art because I can make shirts and other things, but then not deal with just tumblers only. So that'll be up my that increase that. Then I also want to do 40-ounce tumblers, but then if I have the designs, the PNGs, I can then create any kind of designs. Yeah, okay. It's taking very long. This first one's from Phil. It's just, I feel fun when I get to talk about my plans because it feels exciting. But I wonder, what's my overall plan? Huh? Refresh. What's my overall plan? Okay. Actually, I'm gonna turn off we do the draft. I'm gonna copy here. Then we make myself a copy. Oh my goodness, that's just takes forever. You know what I'm gonna do instead? I feel like, okay, this part I'm gonna do at home, but what I'm gonna do is, let me see. So these are done, right? Exports. I'm gonna put this into a folder. Fetch. Markup. 1. Actually, no, I don't want to deal with that. That's not. It's gonna mess up everything. Yeah. I don't want to do that. I'm gonna save this. And then when we go back. Yeah, this part's too slow. Like, it doesn't make sense. Tiny 25. We have here. Oh, we got extra. Like this. Idiot. Let's see how this looks. Okay. Let me see. And then this last one is gonna be the one we need, which is 2, 1. Yeah, this. Yep. Go look. Yeah, this takes way too long. Waste time. Yeah. No. No more. No more. Way too long. Yep. No, you can't do this. This doesn't make sense. Okay, so I'll do that later.